style has to be put on hold for TSA on occasion.
Right. You know, when you're traveling, fashion goes on the back burner.
That's assuming it was ever on the front burner.
I wonder if this is going to make the cut.
I hope so. Or I hope you have a good blooper reel. That's what we'll do.
All right, so we're back.
Yes,
Mel's
hello.
still here, publishing this maybe a week or two after the last video.
Yes.
And we'll have this video and maybe one more after this. But in this video, we're going to cover some of Mel's other weird creations. And the viewers know that I'm a weird creation guy. I like to do weird, dumb stuff. But like, look at this. Grab the other one over there too. And we've got a long guitar here. We got a bass.
So these basically help you understand that the clam shack didn't just appear out of thin air.
There's a history of mental illness.
Yes, there is a history all the way back to the glue, but so I can. Shall I just go through and start? We'll start.
Yeah.
This is the oldest one.
Let's start with this one then, and then we'll work our way towards the bass. We'll do the bass last.
Okay, yeah. So this started life as a mid-60s K, I think they were called Galaxy models. And it had, regular neck. It had a single neck pickup there, Kleenex, and it was a perfectly fine guitar. I got it at a pawn shop that somebody had brought in to make bail or something. And we'll get to the exciting. Notice the work I do. This is fantastic. So I started futzing with it over the course of years. For a while, I had a Filtertron and I had 2 Tele neck pickups. Then I had some other things. I used to have a Bigsby on it, but then I thought late at night, and my friends Jack and Jim of the alcoholic variety helped me decide to put that there. And it was Canada. It was cold. So
I'm not usually, I've heard of Jack and Jim. I'm not friends with them personally. I have a pet turkey though.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, have you ever had a T&T? Wild turkey and tab.
And tab. I don't think I've ever actually had a tab.
I don't know if they still make it, but they were making it a couple of years ago.
T&T.
With saccharin. It actually still had saccharin in it. And it cuts and smooths out, particularly 101.
Right.
But it's magic made in heaven. And then you get the sound module, I'll have a T&T.
So I'm sorry I interrupted you. You decided instead of doing the easy thing where you already had a Bigsby on this.
Yes.
So I've got to have a Jazzmaster trim on this.
Yeah, and now to understand, initially it was sunburst, and then I wanted to move controls around, and I needed to fill other holes. So I don't know if you can see very well, but there are parts on here, like there, where you can see there's kind of a circle in the paint. So I had nothing but a Dremel, and so I Dremeled out the sides of the holes. I was in Canada, so I put Canadian penny in the hole and then bondoed or spackled over it. I don't remember. And then once I had it all set out, then I painted it with spray paint, and then you'll notice the fine tiger striping. That was a brush of polyurethane that I went back and forth.
It's hand brushed, guys.
Hand brushed.
It actually looks, that gold is beautiful. The shimmer to it. And there's something about the hand brushing that
like, adds a sophisticated je ne sais quoi.
It is pawn shop correct. You know, like
yes, absolutely.
It is beautiful. And I like looking at it, but it is like, oh, you can tell immediately, like someone hand brushed this.
Yes.
But it's like, you could also you can find old department store guitars.
Well, they used to airbrush the, this actually had the airbrush flame on it.
But you can find old department stores that have this like very hand finished quality to them in the clear finish and things like that.
Yes. So I was going, and also notice my highly technical pinned bridge.
Yes.
And you'll notice, do you see how those are square heads, not regular?
I feel like you should take close-up photos.
So the square head screws are because I was in graduate school in Montreal, and the only place that sold stuff like this around where my French was good enough to be able to be understood was Canadian Tire. And that's where all this stuff came from. The big knobs are all from Canadian Tire. And I think everything but that one switch was from Radio Shack. So, I had no tools. I mean, you can even see, look, this is window stripping that I cut with scissors because I didn't know how to make risers. And I was, so I was doing this in the mid 90s. And then, yeah, you can see all the various places on it that I was kind of trying to make it an imaginary Gretsch the way I did the side is black. And then on the back, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Now this one, I actually tried to like pretend and make it fit.
Right.
Like it's a piece of plywood. I had a piece of a pie pan just covering this, and then it fell off, and then I thought, that's cool.
You just need quick access to the,
Yeah,
switch,
to the switch. And then all the way down the center, it's stuffed with sponges.
Oh, so it was a hollow body. It wasn't
Oh,
a semi.
It is a hollow body. But it's completely hollow.
You filled it with sponges to kill feedback.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because this and Showman went like that. And yeah, so then you went through the odd. They're Gibson P90s from the mid 90s, and the craziest part to me though was, look at how well that neck sits in that pocket.
Yeah,
this pocket was
like made for it.
I know, but this was like a 26-inch scale length on the Ks, and yet that neck pocket fit perfectly.
Like it fits better than like
probably the
some
original
factory
neck.
guitars.
Yes, and then it's got those massive 3 bolts on the back that were. When I first did this, I just had one slightly unscrewed that I used as the strap button. But then I decided to go for another. And yeah, it just kind of went from there, and it's a nice kind of beat up rocker. If we flip it back over, we can explain. So this is a Jaguar style thin switch. It's the low pass filter or high pass filter.
Yeah, that's why there's a little guy in there. Thankfully it's open so I can take a picture of it.
All my secrets are revealed. And then this is a kill switch. So you did.
Oh, I love a kill switch.
And then there's always an interesting decision that has to be made when you're using multiple pickups and 3-way switches. So like on the Gretches and I think others, they have a regular 3-way switch and then a switch that like puts the middle pickup in or out.
Okay.
What I did instead is, if you initially just look at this one switch and imagine this is a pickup and that's a pickup, okay? So this
is a whole pickup here.
So if you're in this up position, that's on. If you're in the down position, this is on. If you're in the middle, both are on. Okay.
So then all of them are on in the middle. Okay.
If this switch here, the other 3-way switch, says which part of this pickup are you using? So you can use the neck, you can use the middle, you can use them both, and you can use all of that in conjunction with the bridge pickup.
Gotcha. That's smart.
I thought of it myself.
Very clever. He's a genius. Let's plug it in and see what it sounds like.
It's going to sound raunchy.
I like raunchy.
Oh, and the other thing also, the patina of this guitar, I lent it to a friend who was a chain smoker, and he had it for about 10 years. And you can sense the patina. Look at the everything. The strings were actually gold colored from nicotine on them.
Wow.
And the guitar smelled like an ashtray for most of 2 years, and I got it back.
There's probably like an opportunity out there to like pay some smokers rent.
Yeah.
And just send guitars. Like, you have to live with these guitars. We're just going to line your walls with guitars.
But it has to be like a portly old gentleman who's balding, hasn't shaved in a while, wears a wife beater, shorts, and black shoes with black socks.
Yeah.
And he smokes cigars. Yeah. And sits around and complains about the kids these days.
And so you ship him your guitar, and it just hangs on the wall for 5 years, and you just know, like, someday I'm going to get it back. And it's
patina out the yin yang.
Perfectly patinaed. And I'm not going to have lung cancer.
Someone else will.
Someone else will. And I've paid $600. But he does. What it is like you send the guitar and like a couple of cartons of his brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Hang this up on your wall.
Oh, but then you'd get like, for this guitar, can we just do cool men falls? You know, I need. Oh, this one for this one, it's only unfiltered Lucky Strikes, please. Business ideas, folks. We're in on this. Us, you.
I feel like there's some way to like do a crossover with like Alcoholics Anonymous or something like that. Like, hey, like hang these up in your hall that you meet in, and like.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and yeah, or just have them hanging in like, what is it, 20 feet from the entrance to a building where they put all the smokers now? And
where's somewhere where smoking people hang out? Like, we're in California, so I don't know where smokers hang out anymore because they're shot on site.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at you.
We have very strict gun laws, but it is actually a law that if you see someone smoking, you have to shoot them.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Should we show them the California look of disapproval at smokers?
I've got kids, man. They're not here, but I have them.
I think we should point out, though, also, it's fairly early. There's no Jim, Jack, or Turkey involved.
This is all natural. My audience knows me.
Yeah.
They know this is what I'm like.
All right, so what I've got you set up on now is just the bridge pickup. And then, so we're right now, I'm going to have just, so the neck's on, and you can use this for bridge neck.
What's the make of the neck?
I believe it's a Godin.
Godin neck?
I bought it. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Did it just snap there?
Oh, shoot. Your nut,
Oh, that's awesome.
your nut just gave up on you. Did that really just happen?
I hadn't seen it before.
Are we going to find the piece somewhere?
Oh, who cares? It's fine.
You know what? It's
holding.
It's going to hold there.
Yeah.
Like, unless you do like a big push up on there, it's going to be fine. The neck feels great.
It's a great neck, and I just got fortunate because I knew nothing about anything at the time. Again, mid-90s, there was before the interwebs, you know, we had to, you know, if you had questions, you had to send it by carrier pigeon. You remember that.
Right, yeah.
And the feed gets expensive.
Yeah. And you can't just have one pigeon.
No, the pigeon posse.
You think you're going to get one pigeon, and then you're like, now the pigeon needs a friend, but then you send one out with a message, and now the other pigeon's alone, so then you get another pigeon. And it's
and then they hear that you're the one with the good kibble, and then all the pigeons show up.
Yeah. Now you have all these pigeons.
And now you are the center of media.
Right.
A media empire.
Now you're a news network.
But you have to understand, though, this wouldn't work well with pigeons.
Right.
Because if we were sending pigeons, bam, 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 check this out, and just
right.
send them with like little reels of old magnetic tape.
Yeah, things didn't work out great with when it was cassette tapes, and things got really screwy when it was CDs because the pigeons
they don't know. They see the reflection of themselves and they start fighting.
Yeah. They're scared of it. They see the reflection and like stay away from that.
Tony just looks at himself.
Yeah.
His wings out, goes, hey, look at me. But Tony's a breed of his own.
There's going to be a lot of fun editing this.
Oh, man.
So more semi-hollows or more full hollows need to have a Jazzmaster trim on it.
And just the fact that it sits and mouth, there isn't a block of wood under this or anything.
What is it attached to?
It's the top of this guitar is so thick, even though it's completely hollow.
I'm acting surprised. I already knew that. We talked about it before we recorded.
I thought we weren't supposed to pretend we knew each other.
Terrible liar. But that is so honestly wild that they're wood screws?
Yeah.
And it's holding in there. I guess it's 6 screws and most of the force is going that way. It's not going that way.
And again, because the top, I mean, it's got to be close to a 1/4 inch.
Yeah, that's a good 1/4 inch.
These mid-60s, mid-price, over solid guitars.
Right.
You know, I mean, I bought this thing. It was, I think, $100, And then I saw one a couple of years ago at an estate sale, and it was $900. I'm like, well, I couldn't make another one of these for that money. That's crazy.
Right. But your $100 in the '90s, that's worth like $6,000 now. So who's the sucker?
That's true. I should have used the money and invested in like Google.
Yeah,
something like that.
In like 1994, you should have invested in Google.
And then I would have had the whole wall would be these. It would just be, the world would be paved with them.
If I had a time machine, I would go back in time. I wouldn't invest in anything, but I would become like best friends with Bezos in like high school or something like that. And I'd just like hang out with him all the time, and then I'd just be along for the ride.
That's true. Or
I don't want to actually. Like if I went back in time, I wouldn't have any money to invest.
That's true.
Like, you need to have money to invest. What I'm going to do, like go back in time and get a minimum wage job so that I can invest in Google in 1984.
What you do is you would have to look and say like, what would the back end shell up in the Dakotas, and they didn't know about it. You would go back in time, buy the land, sit on the land.
Again, I won't have any money.
Yeah, but exotic dancing gets you places.
I'm just saying it's a lot easier to invest in friendship.
Yes.
Than in stocks when you don't have money.
But when all else fails, there is exotic dancing.
Right. Yeah. And that's how I'll meet Elon Musk.
Yeah, because he was an exotic dancer, wasn't he?
Yeah, we'll be in the same troop as him, you know? We'll work the same place.
Excellent.
He'll show me the ropes. It'll be like a whole thing, a montage.
You know, there aren't enough montages.
I know.
We should like do a montage here later where it's all like, oh, did it, and there'd be poppy music and stuff. It'd be fun.
Right.
Or it'd just be a waste of time.
It'd be a big waste of time, and I have no idea what it would be a montage of. Because usually it's like training to learn how to do something. And we don't know how to do anything.
But we're very good at pretending.
Right.
Just as disgusting. But I bet there are people, they're nutters. Don't we call them Hummers? They're Hummers out there.
No, you called them something else.
They're 60-cycle Hummers. It's Hummerland.
Hummerland. But you had a different, it wasn't Hummers, it was something else.
Roll
back the tape.
was it Humbodies? Like a Humbody, Humbucker, Humdinger?
No, it was
Hummer.
It was something I'd never heard before, but I've heard Hummer before. And that never sticks because people don't want to be...
Emperor Engelbert Hummerdinck?
I don't know. We'll roll back the tape. We'll pull it up.
Out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
For next time.
Yeah, for next time. But we need a montage of me rolling back the tape.
Exactly.
All right, let's check out the sounds of this guitar. So this is the bridge.
Yes.
It sounds like a bridge P90.
It is.
It is.
Yes.
It's not 17 pickups in one pickup.
No, these are just standard Gibson P90s from the mid-90s. Which, by the way, is the ideal time vintage for P90s. I know people say 50s, 60s.
No, 90s.
P90, because why wouldn't they call it a P50?
Right. It's from the 90s. You want a P90 from the 90s. Mm-hmm. Obviously.
Like me and Eddie Vedder.
Right, yeah. I don't know if you're going to get this song reference, but if I was Eddie Vedder, would you like me any better? He doesn't know it. It's from a local band called the Rugburns.
Oh, well, I've never heard of them, but that is pretty fantastic. And
he had a whole song. If I was Eddie Vedder, would you like me any better?
Oh, and he should have segued into David Duchovny, Why Don't You Love Me? Fiber.
Yeah. Someone write up Steve Poltz. Say, you left some ideas on the table. Here's a new idea for your new song. So the guy from the Rugburns, Steve Poltz, he wrote Jewel's hit for her because they were dating. And he wrote it on a napkin. He's like, I'm not going to use this. You can use this. And then they broke up, and then she became famous.
Oops.
You Were Meant for Me was the song. Oh. But then, like, all his band's music was like Hitchhiker Joe and Dick's Automotive, like all the. If I was Eddie Vedder, would you like me any better? Like all these like jokey songs, and he wrote Jewel's hit song.
Wow.
Good for him.
Good for him. He's got a good story.
He does.
No doubt.
All right, so let's check out some other pickup settings here.
So now if you put that in the middle.
That'll be all of them.
No, because I've got this one set to the neck.
Ah, okay.
So right now, this will behave as if there's no middle pickup.
All right. So that's a pretty standard neck and bridge.
Yeah.
Pretty and smoky.
Yeah.
And then we'll put it to all on.
Sure.
Jazzy.
You know, I would almost say that little bit you were playing before sounded like it could be for some like medical ad on television, you know, the happy music. Have you or someone you know been having difficulties with bedwetting? Well, Rizzaroni Rockamoni medicine is what's right for you.
It'll make bedwetting easy.
You,
That's the message that they want, right?
the troubling thing about that is you imply that bedwetting is difficult on a regular basis.
Is bedwetting hard for you? Let's make it easy.
Oh my God.
Every time I wet my bed, it's a little spot. I want the big spot.
Yeah, you need Rizzo Rockamoni, whatever it was. But yes, that's the music. And this was the guitar it was all recorded on.
So that's just the neck. No, that's
now your neck only.
That's neck only. Okay, I figured it out. And this is the kill switch. So let's do all on. Is that all on?
Yeah, that's all on, but you gotta...
What did I do?
That's a good question. Here you go.
There we go.
So yeah, that's one of the things with cheap switches. They're about 30 years old.
Did it start out as the kill switch?
Originally, this was that, and then that moved there, and this went here.
Ah, so here we go. I threw on a fuzz. There we go. I mean, there's really like the sound demo that you need, just nasty fuzz, so you can hear the pickup.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, it's a wackadoodle guitar. Right? I don't know how familiar you are with the channel so far, but we do a weekly podcast where we tackle like Craigslist ads that are sent to us. And it's always like someone trying to sell their bonkers home mangled creation.
Yes.
And you can tell this one's good because he's not selling it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's kept it for what, 30 years?
30 years. 30 years I've had this.
Someday someone will sell it long after you die.
Probably.
And Steve and I will make fun of it on the show.
Good. I look forward to it. Well, it would. I'm hoping I live a long time, so it'll probably be animatronic. You and Steve.
How old are you?
I'm 50.
Okay. Steve and I will be in our 80s, and you'll be recently dead.
Okay, good. Now we're all set now.
And we'll just be.
Back
Look at this pile of trash. It's worth $4.
So, I will also say that I have defended myself with this on stage.
It's like a jabbing tool. Like,
yeah, I think I did because it's got pretty strong bolts. As I recall correctly, I used it to kind of knock, because if you turn it sideways, you can kind of get a good rib shot with somebody and keep them away. Yeah.
No, it's really, really cool. It feels really nice. It's a player.
It's such a bizarrely comfortable guitar.
Right, it works.
It works, and the body size is really nice. That was the other thing. It's
a smaller
bodied
hollow body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bibbidi habit.
And it looks freaking cool. And it sounds like P90s, guys, from the 90s. P90s from the 90s when they were designed. Don't believe the lies on vintageguitar.org or whatever.
The time
P90s
machine
were invented in the 90s.
They were invented in the 90s, taken back in the time machine because that was the way they were going to make money.
Yeah.
Is sell the P90s to Gibson that they designed in the 90s.
Yeah.
To the 50s.
Exactly.
And then buy IBM stock.
Mm-hmm. We all know how that turned out. Great. Now we have P90s and IBM. I bet people go back in time to invest in stocks all the time and it just screws everything up.
You're probably
And
right.
it's like that company just never succeeds because they invested too much too early.
You're right. It's like, what was there? There was a Ray Bradbury book about a time machine. They go and they hunt dinosaurs, and one of them gets freaked out and steps on a butterfly, and then it's like,
it's all over.
There's no more instant coffee, and then there's like, the Whopper's only one patty.
Right. Who wants to live in a
yeah.
Who don't want to live in a world with one patty? Are you kidding me? All right.
All right. So, this is not rehearsed, and please be sympathetic to Ryan for your name is Ryan, right?
My name is still Ryan.
Okay. I really appreciate you putting up with all of this.
No, this is what I live for. This is amazing. Like people were begging for you to come on the show because they could tell right away. Like you're the correct speed for this channel.
And it's so exciting because you get this, and as I was alluding to,
we get this, all of us. Yeah. This is why we're all here.
We are the guitar nerds.
So this came after that.
Yes, this came in the. Let's see, I bought it in the mid 2000s. It was sitting gathering dust on a local music store wall, and to add an air of intrigue, it was sitting there. It's a gypsy style guitar.
Yeah.
Read what the label says inside it.
Johnson.
And then what does it say?
Acoustic electric bass.
This is not an acoustic electric bass. But
No.
They don't make a gypsy guitar.
Johnson?
They don't make it's an off-brand.
Is this a
It's a
knockoff Johnson? Who's knocking off Johnson? Like Johnson has always been like a budget brand, right?
Yes.
So who's making fake Johnsons?
I don't know if
Is
it's
that the title
fake
of the video? Who's making fake Johnsons?
So it was, sitting in. I had it set up as a, proper gypsy guitar. I tried about 2 weeks worth of pretending to be Django. Realized that that's never going to happen.
Right.
Then some friends of mine, I don't know if you know Ference and Danny. Ference from the Pollo Del Mar, Danny from a Sugar Beach Party and all that stuff.
I don't know them, but I know the bands.
Okay, you know that. See,
I know of the bands. I'm not, personal friends. Yeah.
Anyhow.
Name dropping.
They were doing this thing they called it quiet surf, and they were just using two acoustic guitars and playing mellow versions of surf songs. But then I realized they didn't have vibratos, and how are you going to even pretend to be a vibrato playing person? So then I did this. This is a knockoff of one of those cheap Tesco.
I've got to take a picture of the way that you've connected this here.
Yeah.
No, it's honestly really clean. Like,
so what I did is I took a piece of L bracket aluminum. I drilled out enough holes to make that square, and then the aluminum is tied to the back of the guitar, and the tremolo is just attached to it.
right. So you didn't bolt this to the soundboard.
No.
It's hanging off the back, which is
Yes.
really smart.
I thought of it myself. And then...
And it's perfectly in tune.
Well, that's the Eastern Indian Johnson tuning.
Right.
It's
Sitar.
It's the Johnson Minor, I believe. So what I did first was I decided to take I hadn't started winding pickups yet. I took the original wooden bridge off. This is a plate of steel that the current bridge is attached to.
Twist this away from something? Twist away this plate of steel?
It was...
Sorry.
It was back in the days before you could just steal catalytic converters and not get in trouble. So I did have to source steel from what might still be a standing bridge.
Did the bridge come from a bridge?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a good story, so why don't we stick with that?
All right.
It's a bridge from a bridge.
It's a metal bridge that he stole from a bridge.
It's a metal plate that I turned into a bridge. Let's get this straight.
Okay, all right.
So then, this is just half of a humbucker, and then I shoved a big ceramic magnet in there, and that magnetized all that, so that's a functioning pickup. And
The magnet is wedged in between half a humbucker and
it's only held in place by magnetism.
Well, that's all you need, right? That's the whole point. This is.
And then
and is that your ground?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just a piece of copper sticking out of the and,
So
you like the fancy work I did there too.
Yeah. Oh, I love every bit of it. I had an old Hohner acoustic.
Yeah.
That when I was around college age, I was like, oh, I want to do the Kurt Cobain thing where he had a humbucker in the sound hole, and he drew, had some holes in there for pots and stuff like that. So I did the whole thing, and I made this piece of wood that mounted the humbucker in the sound hole, and I got it working. And I was like, hey, how come this thing's not grounded? Oh, you can't really ground an acoustic bridge, can you? So it's kind of out of luck. And then so what like all this stuff is reminding me of that guitar.
The nightmares are back.
What I ended up doing was running a wire off the output jack, and it was like a wire that came out, and I would just shove it in my pants.
That's incredible.
And that's how I would ground the guitar. I was like, I'll just shove this back here.
And that's why you're known as an electrifying guy. Clearly, I hear. So the other piece of this is then this was a knockoff. It's like a Firebird pickup, but it was about twice as thick. So I put it on the mill and I just started shaving it down till, well, the first one I destroyed. So then I got another one.
Oh, you destroyed one doing that?
Yes, of course.
Interesting. That's a huge surprise.
You shouldn't be surprised about that.
You took a pickup. You took a Firebird pickup.
Not a real one. It was a knockoff.
Right. But you threw it on the belt sander, and you're just like, I'm gonna make this thing thinner.
It's like a proper a mill. Like you would do. It was a precision job.
Okay.
So I could just.
But it broke it.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't paying attention to the fact that there's a wire that comes off the side, and then that pretty much doomed it when I just milled the wire.
So you were just milling the cover, right?
No.
You were milling the guts of it too?
Yeah. It was all epoxy. The thing is, this is the entire that 3/8 is the entire pickup. The rest of it was epoxy.
Okay.
So I just was shaving off epoxy.
I was imagining you like grinding into pickup and the into the magnet and the coils and stuff, like, it'll work.
That actually is a plausible thing to consider that I might have done, though it wasn't what I'd done. If I'd thought about it, I'm sure I would have.
I think you should still try it just to see if it works. Like cut to size pickups.
Be careful, I might put that on you and you'll have to do it.
Like, do you want an 8-string pickup? How about a 7-string pickup? Think. How about a 6-string pickup? Think. There it is.
So this is a non-existent guitar. So now, the neck pickup is obviously much fuller. The bridge pickup is kind of quiet and shrill.
The Tysco vibrato.
I mean, how can you play surf without it?
So then there's the neck pickup.
Yep. You hear that's a lot louder.
The freshly ground pickup.
Yes, freshly ground.
Those Tysco trims.
Yeah, the Tysco trim probably. You have a screwdriver? That probably.
There's.
Let's see here.
There's a flathead yellow-handled one in there somewhere.
You keep playing while I perform surgery here.
It works.
Yes, it works.
It sounds like it's grounded. I don't have to tuck a wire into my pants. Nasty.
Yeah, I mean, it's nasty by itself, but it does add a little bit of brassiness to the neck pickup, which is almost like the way. I mean, I've built passive piezo pickups, and they sound like garbage by themselves. But if you use the passive piezo, is it just not keeping tune? It's entirely possible.
Yeah, the high E is out. There we go.
It's probably going to snap soon because it wasn't keeping in tune for me last night either. But if you're injured, it's not my doing.
That's like my worst fear. It's just a high E. Like, I just know one day it's just going to, like, ride across the middle of both eyeballs. Just like...
You need to get
like
some snazzy glasses.
I know.
Snazzy glasses.
I just need glasses.
Look at me now. This is...
No one wants to see that.
Now look.
Whoa, a man of taste and style is here.
So yeah, it just gives it a breath of air.
Yeah.
That the neck pickup by itself doesn't have.
Now, how often do you use this? Do you gig with this?
I have gigged with it. I normally drag it out to show people, hey, you want to see something weird? And it's the same with this one that I used to gig with this. I almost got into a fist fight with someone over this guitar.
Over this one?
Yes, because I was playing in a surf band in Montreal, and I was playing this, and I had my jazz master leaning on the amp, and this one guy's like, play the fucking jazz master! You play! I'm like, who is this asshole? And he kept going. I'm like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong? He had a band called the Treblemakers, a surf band, and we later became good friends. But I just remember what a.
He really needs to hear that jazz master.
Yes, he was one, like, there's certain people you can know you're going to get the unfiltered truth,
right?
Their opinion, yeah.
Well, the guy's screaming at you to play the jazz master.
Yeah.
I feel like this guy doesn't have a filter.
No, which makes him one of my people of just like. I told you the brain injury. So one of the things. Brain injury. This is serious, but it reduced my ability to filter between brain and mouth. And I was telling a friend about that, and I was like, look, this is something that's really hard. And he stopped and goes, I didn't know you ever had a filter between your brain and your mouth. I'm like, okay, well, I guess then it's just me.
Let's check out this bass now.
Yes. Okay, I'll put this
thing
over here.
Is ridiculous.
Should we show him what it does first?
Show him what it does. Well, I've already tuned it.
It'll be close to
all right, well, we can tune it again.
All right,
show him what it does.
So this bass, you loosen this little knob here.
Yeah. That's not a volume knob.
No, it's just a knobby knob. Now, you'll notice here there's a car door switch, as you normally find on guitars.
Yeah, all the time.
And you press it up. Neck starts coming down. Watch. The strings feed through. And it comes all the way back. And now we're ready to take this on the road.
I want to get some footage of you
Slow
returning
motion?
the neck.
Okay,
so we can see this bridge in action. Or this
I'll do it slowly.
Stop tail here.
Here we go. Opening up. And then, now what you'll see is the strings are really high off the body, and that's where this comes in. You bring it back down, it brings the strings back into their playing position, and you can even use it to change the height if you wanted to. What that does is it puts pressure against the car door latch so that it stays in place, because car door latches have a little give to them.
Oh, wait. I want to take a photo now.
I have to say, you would have probably enjoyed the conversations that I had with the car door latch company.
Yeah, I need to order a car door latch.
And they're like, well, what's the application? I'm like, well, it's kind of a...
I'm always going to hardware stores and stuff, looking for like weird little things that I can throw at guitars. Or I'm like talking to someone like, hey, I'm trying to get this part, blah, blah, and it's like, it's always something where it's like, oh, we need you to order like 50 of these things or whatever. And that keeps me from most of my dumb projects.
See, I just find it. So I have to say, the very first folding guitar that my buddy and I came up with. It was a Telecaster, and instead of having a roller after it, the entire bridge slid forward.
Wow.
And it was, I mean, it is a device. I come back, I can bring it, and we can go through the various stages. Because I did a guitar where I took a Dan Electro pickup, pulled it out of the case, and fit it right there.
Oh my gosh.
And then I had 2 spring-loaded tabs that would make the connection when the guitar, when it was out, and then it would go, yeah.
So you, on one guitar, you invented 2 things that are like the things that everyone takes pictures of at NAMM now. Like there's the CRE guitars that have the folding neck that are kind of similar to this.
Yeah, no, what they
have
do...
have a really complicated...
They have a very complicated thing. The other
like
thing
mechanical
is...
works in there.
Theirs is, I would say, probably the best on the market.
Right.
Most of the ones where the neck folds forward and the strings go slack, when you're putting it back in tune, you're suddenly putting a massive change on the truss rod in the neck.
Yeah.
Theirs is much more subtle, so it's not, you know, when they gear it back up, it's not as shocking. But what I did is there's tension remains on the neck at all times, because when you fold this back, this string thing feeds forward, and I have these set with a ratio between the two. There's a cable here. I don't know if you can see. There's a cable there that attaches this roller to that back one. And I have them set up with a ratio so that as you fold it, you get slightly more string. This turns a little bit further relative to that. So it slackens the strings a tiny bit when it's folded. And then when it unfolds, you get that.
What do you do outside of guitar stuff? Are you like an engineer or something? Like what's your story?
I'm a software engineer.
You're a software engineer.
A former toxic waste remediation specialist.
All right.
I did work one summer for the post office. And it was the summer everyone went postal. Do you remember that? Or was that before your time?
No, I remember when everyone went postal.
Yeah.
It was I wasn't being exposed to the news at that time in my life, but I was being exposed to all the comedians talking about people going postal.
So this was the summer of '89. And, you know, there was a postie who like stole an airplane and was shooting up downtown Boston from the air, which was impressive. There were, you know, and there's some serious things that happened. There was a guy at the post office I worked with who the first thing he said to me was, "Oh, hey, do you speak any other languages besides English?" I'm like, I know a little Latin, I know a little Yiddish. He goes, "How do you say you should fart all night in Latin?" And I'm like, I don't recall that in my vocabulary list.
Let me crack open some classic literature here and see if we can figure it out.
I think that it was omnes Gallius in tres partes divisit in fart all night. I think that's what Caesar said.
I want to see that on a crest, you know. I want to see it chiseled into a piece of marble.
Well, you know, they used to have better insults than we do now.
Yes.
Like I always like the one where you should have the strength to climb a long flight of stairs and then fall from the top. I mean, you know, because I'll have the hell.
Yeah, thank you for the
anyway,
wishes.
so that guy brought a different razor sharp knife to work every single day.
Right.
And he would tell he if something goes down, like if something, look, stop there. Just tell me if there's a day I don't come in. That's all I'm asking.
Give me a warning.
Exactly. Thankfully, nothing ever happened. I don't know that. Every lunch hour, he'd be like, "You know how you say you should fart all night in Ethiopian?" I'm like, "No, tell me."
That was his thing? He just was trying to figure it out in every language?
Yeah. I don't know why he had difficulty with the ladies.
You got to have a hobby, I guess.
Exactly.
He's like writing a book.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a software engineer by day. I've always been a tinkerer. I've always loved building things from Legos on up. I built, when I built Legos with my grandfather, who was from Poland, last name Polak of all things. But he'd see me playing with Legos. He'd go, "Remember, MIT, then the Harvard Business School." And I'm like, okay, I didn't get there, but I did at least have the...
I was a Lego guy too.
Yeah?
I was a Lego kid. That explains like
exactly
all this sort of nonsense that like that I'm into. Like I was showing him all my crazy
there's some
guitars.
wacky stuff in here, folks.
Yeah, I don't have the wackiest stuff anymore. There's things that were so wacky they ended up in the fireplace. You know.
And there are pictures of some of them on the wall in the post office, right?
Right.
Beware.
What I was gonna say is like, you like the folding thing is like the CRE guitars thing, but garage style.
Yes.
I bet they have prototypes that probably look a lot like this, and
not
then,
as good. They're not as sexy as mine.
And then the pickup thing that you were mentioning that you did in a Telecaster, that's like the gyrock thing. It's like this
the one where
system,
the pickup spin.
The pickup rotates, but
yes,
you didn't quite get there and throw other pickups in. You just like one pickup that rotates into position.
The silly thing is, you start facing challenges. Normally a neck pickup would be about here,
right?
But this is in the way. So then I thought, well, okay, if I put a pickup across there, it will be in the right place as a neck pickup.
Yeah.
And so and then I'm like, well, if it goes there and it rotates, how do I do that? And then that's where I was thinking, like Transformers, the more than meets the eye,
yeah.
And it would just connect like that. I'll bring it. I frighteningly, I still have this stuff, and it's crazy. And you can see on this also, like the strings are not centered on the neck.
No,
there's still a lot of doing that was not left did. But the reason I have this out and the reason I brought it here was because this is my first attempt of putting an off-kiltertron on a bass. And so I wanted to see how it sounds. That's what's going on there.
I actually knew that before. I'm pretending again that I didn't know.
Oh my goodness.
I was asking him about this a lot. I was like, oh, it fits in a little pickup like that.
Yes. So then that's the reason why they're called off-kiltertrons. I make them in Filtertron cases. I make them in silver and gold, and yes, and the funny thing is, actually, you'll notice it's got 6 poles, but it's on a bass. I learned an interesting thing about Gretsch bass pickups. The ones that have the solid top are 6 poles. They just screw them in from underneath, so you don't see that.
Well, it covers
enough, yeah.
Like on some of them, it's in between the magnet, but like the bass strings move enough.
Well, and then you can also just kind of lift that up and.
Also, like I was watching this whole mechanism go, and it's one of those Gretschy
space control
where they're on a screw and they go back and forth, and it's perfect for this because the string slides across them and they just
roll.
It's a rolling bridge. I mean, there's no action or intonation adjustment, but
no,
it's a bass. You don't need it.
Listen to
it doesn't even need to be in tune. That's chorus.
It's just there to go.
Yeah, it's more about the beat than the notes. I said that to bassists recently. I was like, he doesn't really need to be in tune. You're bass, and they're like, I could feel all their assholes puckering at the same time. They're he's perfectly in tune. Like, how dare you, sir?
No, and it's just playing jazz. That's So yeah, so I'm just kind of curious, and I'll be very curious actually what all of you out there think of the way this sounds, because I have never done this before. Maybe it is a good idea, maybe it is a bad idea, maybe it's a good idea that's bad, maybe it's a bad idea that's good. You tell me. Let's have a listen.
Let's see how it sounds through. I'm only running through one Princeton right now. I don't have a jingle for that because we split the
one
Princetons
little
earlier.
Princeton, 2 little Princetons, 3 little Princetons. Yeah.
That's on the first single 12
that's
setting.
The jangle setting.
Now we're into humbucker territory. Well, it definitely sounds like something.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's like a good thing that it gets the thin, clanky ones, but maybe that's for like the slappy dappy.
I don't know. I think you might be onto something. I'm not, I only fiddle around with the long guitars. I'm not, a native to.
So, any of you bass players out there, if in Hummerland?
In Hummerland.
Hummerland.
That's what it was.
If all of you fine folks in Hummerland, any of you bass players, and have thoughts on this, and even if the thought is like, I would appreciate you letting me know whether I should pursue this any further.
Well, I think I don't know a ton about basses, but I know there's ones that are like very, very simply like your P basses and stuff like that. I think those sorts of people would be interested in this sort of setup. Like take a P bass and give it a bunch more voices.
Yes.
But then there's the people that have like their active pickups and
Oh,
active
they're-
preamp and like a dozen knobs and stuff like that. And they'd probably be like, oh, I've already got a thing, you know. This is for those garage rocky bassists that are like the one pickup guys, but then they want some more sounds.
If you play, I think if you can play a bass song on one string, or at most two, I think that you're a garage bass player. That's you know, and the third string if you're getting zany, but the G should be untouched.
Right. And if you get a 5-string bass, like what are you? What? There's too many strings.
It's you know, it's
Just
like
get a guitar. Just get a guitar.
Yeah, you're trying to be like I'm gonna be like a guitar player, but I play bass. Yeah, we're not fooling anybody.
Just get a guitar.
Yeah.
So now no bassists are going to want to buy your pickups.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. It's
It's
going to be great. I have been thinking about with the Clam Shack doing a bass. I also I want to try a baritone, a bass 6.
Baritone would be fun.
Clam 6 clam.
Clam 6.
And I'll go on Instagram for the clamgrams.
Right.
And
The clamgrams. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, this has been wild. We'll hold them all up here for the thumbnail in case we didn't get it earlier. This is ridiculous. We've gotten a peek inside of your rotten brain.
It's very rotten. But folks, there's more. I only brought the top because I didn't want to scare this guy over here too much. But there's more.
Oh man, well, you're gonna have to come back to show the rest.
It's so nice to be where people actually
appreciate
enjoy
this sort of stuff.
Yeah. You're all fine people. You're all fine Americans, and if you're not Americans, like if you're Canadian,
And by fine, he means all right.
yes,
You're fine. You're all right.
A-okay.
Yeah. So anyways, thanks for watching. Go check out his guitars at alamedaguitars.com.
.com.
Did I guess that right?
You did.
I did. So go check out his guitars. They're awesome. We covered them in 2 previous videos.
Yes.
One in a parking garage and one here in my garage.
You know what? I think that at some point, one of these, we need to do some kind of transaction with these in a parking garage. Even if I
Yes.
just like an awkward handoff, like from inside a coat and just...
Yeah.
I think,
Well, I've been thinking, I think I'm going to make the parking garage my whole thing at the next NAMM.
yeah. Oh, have people come out. You know what? Just
Set up
bring
like
a
whole
desk.
thing.
Yeah.
Bring the desk and set it up. Like I was thinking, like I open up my trunk and I've got an amp in there. I've got a whole like you open up the trunk and here I can do this without dropping, and like microphones fold out of it.
I like it. You folks, you're in for this next year, right?
I just have to convince builders to bring their product to the parking garage. Like, hey,
You didn't, it didn't faze me, but
but you didn't have a booth. You were like walking around with it on your back.
yes, next year I will have a booth.
Will you really?
I will have a booth because I'm going to have the Clam Shack. I ideally will have the Beatnik Baron, and I'm also going to be doing loaded Strat pick guards for people who actually like Strats.
Cool.
Yeah, and I'll have the fuzz pedals.
And the fuzz pedals, which
fuzz
we're going to
pedals.
film next. So stay tuned for that next video in a week or 2. I don't know, when I feel like getting around to editing it, you know how it is. Sometimes it takes a while. But he's got 3 fuzz pedals that have like different voices.
Yes, so there is the Angry Hornet. There is the Brawling Bee, which is an Angry Hornet, but with more bass frequencies.
right.
So it's more of a bass buzz. And then the extremely Angry Hornet, which is a high gain version that rolls a bit of the top end off because it's mas macho.
I think we're going to have to run a stereo fuzz rig. So stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave us rude and nasty comments. Support the channel on Patreon. Buy a shirt if you're naked and stay grounded. Bye, everybody. No. Fuzz split. And a fuzz on one side, fuzz on the other, going into each amp.
However you want, man. I'll bring them out.